Today's guest is my friend Zarak Fatah. He built 14 businesses, generated 8 figures in revenue, and lived a great lifestyle in Toronto. But on his 40th birthday, surrounded by hundreds of friends, he realised that success and fulfilment weren't the same thing. So he walked away. Since then, he's done the inner work, rebuilt himself, his life. He now mentors other people to build successful, purposeful, and fulfilling lives. On today's episode, we go deep into identity, self-love, authenticity, relationships, and the shifts needed to build the life that you truly want. If you're doing the work to step into a different version of yourself, I really believe you'll enjoy this episode. I see the posts that you put on Instagram about relationships. So yeah, talk to me about that, the journey, the process, and everything involved.
Yeah, so first off, I'll share I am no relationship guru. If anything, I'm a novice and an amateur in many ways. I have not had a lot of long-term relationships. And what I mean by long-term is longer than 2 years. Like my relationship history is always the novelty, the infatuation, the love, all the endorphins and the serotonin in the beginning. But when things would get difficult in the relationship, I didn't know how to communicate my feelings. I didn't even know how to get in touch with my feelings, to express that, hey, I'm feeling jealous or insecure or, requesting what I needed, because I grew up in a house where my parents, whenever they started, if there was a conflict, it turned into a full-on argument. So I didn't see a healthy model of love and marriage and communication in my house. And if you don't see that growing up, well, then where do you learn that from, right? You learn it through relationship. Well, I kept repeating the same patterns in all my relationships where, hot and heavy in the beginning, doing everything I can to win her over for, the acceptance, for the validation, for the love. And, you project your best self. You put on the mask. You say all the things that she is going to like. And I think a lot of people do that the first, 3 to 6 months. It's about performing, and it's about letting her see your best side. And sometimes it's even not your best side. It's a side that you're just pretending, right? But then after the novelty and the infatuation starts to fade a little after 6 months, then you really get to see who you're with. And that's when the little things before that you thought were cute really start to bug you. And if you don't know how to communicate and express your frustrations or whatever you may be feeling, I suppressed it. I pushed it down until I couldn't anymore. And then I would slowly start to create this list in my head of all the things that she was doing that annoyed me, all the things that I thought were, reasons not to be with her. And rather than confront her and say, hey, look, babe, I got to talk to you. I'm feeling like this when you do that. And, I'm noticing I'm insecure because of this. And talking about things and working it out, I would just create that list in my head till it got long enough that I would justify leaving the person. But here's the shitty part. I would emotionally disconnect. I would start to drift away. I would start to consider my other options, look at why single life would be better than being in this relationship. So I would emotionally leave the relationship and stray until finally she would be like, babe, what is going on? What is the problem? What's happening here between us? And then I'd be like, okay, she started the conversation. Let me finish it. Well, this isn't working out. I'm not happy. Then I would like, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do that. And I'm out. And by that point, I'm so far gone. I've emotionally disconnected myself, because talking about my feelings and having a conversation about what I wanted to discuss and work on would have been vulnerable. It would have been scary. And if I had just broken up with it then, it would have been very hard on me. Emotionally, I would have caused myself a lot of pain. So I was very selfish in the fact that I would do that. I would drift away emotionally and then end it when I had had enough. And I can honestly say I've had 4 or 5 amazing girlfriends who are wonderful humans, who I still see them on social media and I know what they're up to, and they're amazing people. However, I wasn't ready yet. I wasn't able to connect to myself. I wasn't able to communicate my emotions. I wasn't able to really express my needs or my concerns. And this was a pattern that happened from relationship to relationship. So, there comes a point in time where you got to be really honest with yourself, and you say, okay, well, if I've been in a relationship with 5 different people and they're all great and it didn't work out, well, who's the common denominator, right? And are you willing to be brutally honest with yourself? And notice, What are the patterns? What are the behaviors? What is the common thread that runs through all of these relationships that you can take ownership of? Because until you're ready to do that, until you're ready to look in the mirror and understand, like, I'm the one that keeps screwing up these relationships, and I'm going to stay single. I'm not going to date until I figure this out. Because if you continue to date while you're still working on those past issues, you're just going to keep attracting people that are going to trigger those past issues, because I believe God sends you exactly the perfect person to trigger your old wounds to show you what you need to heal. So yes, you can date and you can try to see where you are growing and where you are evolving. However, you won't meet the one. You won't attract the one to you until you have healed and done the inner work. Now, of course, relationships are the most powerful container for transformation, and relationships are a mirror that will show you everything that is there that's unresolved. So I would say that, you can accomplish 90% of the work on your own. And again, I'm not a relationship expert. I'm just speaking from my own experience. I believe you could accomplish a lot of the inner work on your own, but then that last piece that's so important needs to be done in partnership, because doing all the personal development work and all the inner growth is all amazing, and in many ways it's all like theory for yourself to learn, to embody. But when you actually apply it to relationship, that is the integration. That is, you're taking what you've learned, you've taken what you've embodied, now let's integrate this into a real life scenario and see, how does this actually work when I'm in a relationship with someone who's going to call me on my shit, who's going to trigger all the wounds that are still there, and show you what there is left to work on. And I will say that over the last 7-8 years, that has been my journey of knowing that I want to be in love, I want to get married, I want to have children. However, it is the old story I have about love and commitment, from seeing my parents' toxic marriage, to heartbreaks and closing my heart down, to working in nightlife and hospitality for 25 years. It will also like screw up your perspective on relationships, and just noticing the patterns and the behaviors that have been prevalent in all of my relationships, and being willing to say, like, no, I'm the one who needs to change. I'm the one who needs to work on this, and just being committed to that.
Yeah.
And in today's day and age, everything is so superficial. Everything is so temporary. Double tap, swipe left, swipe right. All of it is available through these phones. Instantly, you've opened your phone and you have 20 new options of women or men you can go on a date with. There's no substance, there's no investment, there's no true connection. And the only way to be truly connected is to be vulnerable. And to be vulnerable and to create that intimacy, you have to allow yourself to be seen and heard. And sometimes that can sound like, hey, look, I like you and I really want to go all in with you. And I know this may not work out, but I'm all in from day one. And if you don't want to be with me after 3-4 months, that's okay. But I'm all in from day one, and I'm going to give this 100%. And a lot of people don't want to do that because they don't want to get hurt. But you know what? No risk, no reward, right?
So true, man. Something that comes to mind there when you're saying that is, it's authenticity in everything that we do in life. Whether it's content for our business that comes to mind, because we want to attract the people who are like us, whether to help them, to work with them. And it's the same in a relationship. If you're authentically you, you're going to attract the partner that's in line with your energy, your mindset, your values, what you want in life, what you want in a partner. So, and I respect you as well for just saying, right, no more relationships until I do this work for myself, because that's effort, it's sacrifice, it's discipline. It's not comfortable, right, to do all that stuff.
But you're playing for keeps. Like, if you're looking for your life partner, you want to get married to someone, share your life with them, share your home, your business, your money, and have children with them, then yeah, you got to make sure that you hold out for the best possible person. 'Cause too many people settle, or too many people marry for the wrong reasons, and that's partly why their divorce rate is so high, right?
And the other thing is no communication. I was the same as you. I grew up and I never saw my parents communicate. So it's just not within me to want to communicate in a relationship. And as you said, life will present us with the people to show us where we need to do the work. And so my last relationship, I didn't communicate in that relationship. So then coming into a new relationship, I wrote a list of, I think it was like 25 or 30 things that I wanted in a partner, and non-negotiables as well, the things that I didn't want. because I knew myself better. And one of those things was to have a woman who was very forthcoming with communication, because I knew that would keep me accountable to help me communicate. And I knew in a relationship, from past experience, that is so critical, that you're on the same page, that you communicate through things that you talked into. So, yeah, I completely agree. Really, really important. It's great that you had that awareness as well.
Yeah, and the reason why people don't communicate, and you touched on this earlier, so authenticity is a word that gets thrown around a lot these days, and authenticity itself has almost become inauthentic, right? But what does authenticity truly mean? It means to expose, to reveal the most pure, truthful version of yourself. And in order to do that, you have to be willing to say, like, hey, I'm far from perfect. I got a lot of quirks and, strange things about me that I accept and I love. And you may think it's weird or you may not like it, but this is who I am. And I know that I'm a great person. I have a good heart and I have a lot to offer. And I know that I'm not perfect, but I love and accept myself for who I am. And you are free to be authentic without having to pose and posture and pretend, because I was that guy for so long. Because when I looked in the mirror, I saw this skinny little brown kid who didn't know how to play sports, who got bullied and picked on. No matter how big or strong I got, I always saw that kid. And it's only when we can really heal that part of us, that young child inside who doesn't feel good enough, doesn't feel worthy, when you could heal, love, and accept that young child who just needs a validation from you, it's very hard to love yourself. And if you don't love and accept yourself, it's very hard to be authentic. And if you're not being authentic, it's very hard to give and receive love from someone else. Because if someone tells you they love you, but you're not being your authentic self, in your mind, they don't love me. They love who I'm pretending to be. And then if you love them, which side of you is loving them, right? Because they say that we don't love people, we love how people make us feel. Okay, so if I'm still living in my false self, an inauthentic persona, and I need this woman and I love her because she makes me feel this certain way, like in the past, I had girlfriends that made me feel special, made me feel cool because they were so attractive, and they validated me. But did we have a deeper connection? No. And I think that's the unfortunate part, why most relationships don't make it past 6 months to a year, is two people are just hiding and pretending until the masks come down, and then it's their two inner children who have yet to heal that are now in the relationship, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. I feel in a previous relationship of mine, I was the same as you. I wasn't being my true self. I wanted and did manifest what I wanted, which was the beautiful girlfriend, super confident. Everyone would look at and know who she was. But I've come to understand what my ego wants and what truly my soul wants can be two different things.
Absolutely.
And we have to understand, and for me, it's knowing who I am and truly what's good for me, and the partner that's good for me. That's what I optimize for, right? And then I can have the relationship that I want. And part of that, or a big part of that, is accepting who we are. I know for myself, that's been work to fully. I love myself. I've got many great qualities, as you'll love yourself. But then it's accepting the parts of us that we might not think are good enough.
Yes.
And that's the key. It's like self-love is one thing, but self-acceptance is another. And I feel for me, that's the most important, to accept
Yeah,
all
and I
of
mean,
me.
acceptance is a prerequisite to self-love. It's only when
Exactly.
we accept ourselves whole and fully. And that's why, authenticity, they say that the frequency of authenticity is like 10 times greater, I could be wrong, but 10 times greater than the frequency of love. Because if you think about it, authenticity is essentially self-love. So yeah, you could have love for others, you could have love for the planet, for your dog. But when you accept yourself for who you are, with all your quirks and deficiencies, and you really, really, really accept and love yourself, that is authenticity, right? That is the greatest feeling, because when you have that much love for yourself, you could have that much love for other people. I believe that self-love and really accepting yourself expands our capacity to love, right?
Yeah, I love that. Self-love is the key. I want to touch on what are ways that you've gone through this process then and given yourself that self-love, that self-acceptance. What did you find that's really worked for you?
Yeah, so I've done a lot of work around where I've held shame and guilt and where I really beat up on myself. I think as entrepreneurs, as guys who are driven, who are fit, who are, high performers, we are very, very hard on ourselves because we're constantly comparing our success, our bodies, or whatever to the guys around us, and social media doesn't help with that, of course. So I think not comparing yourself to others, really just appreciating where you are, seeing how far you've come, and understanding that I have done a lot of deep work and I've done the deep work that many people won't do, and nobody asked me to do it. I did the deep work because I want to be the best version of myself. I want to be a better father than what I had. I want to be a better husband than what my father was. And the only way that's going to happen is if I do the work to improve myself, to learn, to elevate. I can say that I fully accepted that, there are things about me that I'm not going to say I'm not proud of, but of course there's qualities or, things that we wish we could change about ourselves. But I also have just come to appreciate that I am the way I am for a reason. God made me the way I am. Maybe, yes, I've made some mistakes in the past, but I've learned from those mistakes. I don't beat myself up about what I've done anymore. I can take the lesson from it, and take that knowledge and turn that into wisdom and make better choices moving forward. And I think many people deal with a lot of guilt and a lot of shame from their childhood, from their past, and they're not willing to look at it. They're not willing to face it and move through the pain that causes. And until you're willing to really acknowledge the guilt and the shame that you feel and be willing to work through it, it's always going to be there in your energy body. And it's going to sabotage your health, your success, and your love in life. So, yeah, just doing the shadow work and just going very deep within to see
Yeah.
how I can be a better person is how I've overcome things.
Yeah. Yeah, and that takes time. It takes the discipline. It also takes that time just to have time for ourselves. I know for me, it's so much time on my own to think and process and really go deep because it's easy to distract ourselves or get caught up with the noise and purposely distract ourselves, which is very easy to do.
And most people, they won't spend time alone. They say one of the worst forms of torture is put someone in a room with a chair, no phone, and leave them alone for 15 minutes with no distractions. And they'll go crazy because it's said that we have 70 to 80,000 thoughts a day, and 90% of those thoughts are the same. And the majority of those thoughts are negative. So we're always, always, always thinking. And the thoughts that we push down start to percolate, start to come to the surface when things are quiet and we have nothing to do. And that's why some people, they're workaholics. Some people, they can't sit still. Any morning the moment they have free, they're on their phone. And that's because they can't be with their thoughts. And living in Tulum, you get to walk the beach, the ocean, sand, the sunshine. You get to be in that high vibration where things are going to come up, but you get to be present with yourself and you get to process it. For me, that was like my time in Costa Rica. I did a lot of deep growth and introspection being by myself on those beautiful morning walks. And you don't have to live in a tropical beach town to do that. For the people that are watching or listening to this podcast, you can go for a walk near a lake. You can go to the park and walk around. You can, just spend some time on your own, sitting on a bench somewhere, listening to the sounds of nature. It's so important that we spend time alone and allow those things to come up, because you can push them down and you can try to suppress them. But at some point, the low vibrational energy from those emotions, from those thoughts, is going to resurface in the physical form. And when it does, it won't be something that you can deny or avoid. As they say, the body keeps the score. Keep suppressed energy of a low vibration trapped in the body, it can show up as cancer, tumors, or some other illness or disease. And that's why, being with your emotions, processing these experiences is truly how we heal ourselves.
Have you come across
Louise Hay?
Louise Hay?
How you
She's
spell it? Last name?
Hay.
Oh, Hayes. Yeah. Okay. Louis Hayes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Your
yeah,
accent threw me off a little bit. Yeah.
yeah. She basically, as you know, breaks every emotion into every disease comes from an emotion, and she'll break it down specifically. It's so interesting.
Yeah. There's
I,
the Map of Consciousness by Dr. David Hawkins, and also
yeah,
Abraham Hicks created something, and it shows that every emotion has a frequency,
yeah,
and and if you're in a low vibrational frequency, you are a resonant match for sickness and disease. And it's said that the mass majority of the population is under the frequency of 200 megahertz. And this is why we have such a sick population. This is why we have, record numbers in diseases, because social media, the news, the movies, the propaganda, all that's out there
yeah,
is designed to keep us in fear, to keep us in survival and fight or flight.
yeah, yeah. It's so true, man. Yeah, coming back to your last point, it was for people who are in a city who are watching this. When I was just in Dubai, it was going to the park most days. I'd finish work, walk to the park, walk around it, sit in it, just unplug from my phone. And then I just watched a podcast with Gary Vee, and he was saying that the biggest trends in 2026 will be people unplugging from their phone, their computer, their tech, because we are just constantly on these things now. So
That's
yeah,
good. And
I
everything goes in cycles, right? So it will be beautiful to see
yeah,
people unplugging from their phones. You're seeing a more conscious movement happening where there are now parties that have no alcohol. There are coffee parties and events
yeah,
that are for sober people, right? And I'm sure soon it'll get to a place where maybe they're having digital free,
yeah.
device free
Yeah, that's what
events.
it was showing. You
Yeah,
would literally walk into a nightclub and then or a restaurant, bar, whatever it is, a social event, and there's lock boxes that you'll put your phone into and be given a
yeah,
band, which is perfect. It was
yeah.
like Zamna Festival in the
Yeah, I love
pandemic
that.
in Tulum.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Why they did that there? You had to check your phone?
Yeah,
No way.
yeah, because obviously the world was locked down.
Yeah.
Tulum was normal, so it was you. I don't think obviously clearly didn't want everyone posting that they're at a party in the
Yeah.
jungle when it's what was going on. It was yeah, it was cool. I liked it. The fact that everyone was present. There was no phones and lights. It was everyone
Right.
was having a good time. What you mentioned a minute ago really was why I got into being more spiritual and this type of work. I just realized that if I don't do this work, I'll just repeat the same negative cycles, or self-sabotage was what I realized. And I always relate stuff to my clients getting abs, and how many of my clients will lose weight, make progress, get off track, and then repeat that cycle over and over again, year after year. And I thought, I don't want that for my life in terms of relationships, finances, the two that were prevalent. Yeah, the work is critical if we want a new life, the things that we really desire. It has to be done. So I respect anyone like yourself doing this. I really do.
Yeah.
You
Appreciate that.
mentioned about being the one. Do you want to talk about what that means to you?
Sure. So there's a lot of people out there who are trying to manifest the one, they are doing their affirmations, and they are, you know, going out looking to see where that person may be. And I believe that God will not send you the one until you are in a vibrational alignment with that person. So what does that mean? That means that you mentioned this before. You had written your list of all the qualities, characteristics, and non-negotiables that you desire in a partner. And it's great that you've got this list that describes this wonderful woman. But if you really are honest, and you took a look at that list and you asked, okay, who is a reciprocal match for this woman? With all these qualities and characteristics that she has, who is the man that deserves to stand next to that woman? And you took a look at that list of who that man is, and you describe every detail you can about him. And you're really, really honest with yourself, and you asked, how much of this man am I? Am I the man that's worthy and deserving of being with her? And the thing is, a lot of people, they have this amazing list of qualities that they want in a partner, but they're actually not the resonant match for them, which means that wherever the discrepancy is between who you want and who you are, and it's not to say you need to change for someone else, but what's the version of you that's aligned with this amazing man or woman that you are a vibrational match to call her to you? What is the work? What is unhealed? What is it you need to maybe learn or up level in yourself and able to be a vibrational match for her? Because otherwise, you're going to keep attracting the partners that are going to show you where the work is to be done. And many people, they'll have that same situation where they'll date the same type of person over and over again in a different body until they get the lesson, be like, okay, this is why I'm with this person. Because I was in 3 relationships over the last 5 years, and I could see that even though those weren't the women that I would ultimately be with, each one of them taught me a very important lesson for me to become the man I am today. So becoming the one is, again, looking inwards and asking, who do I need to become? How do I need to show up? How do I need to live my life to call on that person? And what I mean by that is, can you already start acting like you were in a committed relationship, even though you haven't met her yet? Can you start to behave like a loving, caring husband, even though you haven't found your potential wife yet? When you start to act in alignment, when your being shifts to that of a man who's in his sovereign masculine, when you shift to that place of a man who isn't out there looking, then you are a vibrational match for that queen. Because that woman, the one who's worthy of marrying, the one who can be the mother of your children, she has the highest standards, and she's not going to go for a joker. That queen won't pick a joker, but she'll recognize a king. She'll feel his energy. So for me, I could say that I had to do the work. I had to identify where I was out of alignment and what needed to shift in me to become the one. And part of that was, I did a feminine cleanse for 6 months. No dating, no flirting, no texting, no non-platonic relationships with the feminine for 6 months. And I did that because I recognized that the joker was still in me and crept out from time to time, even though I've done a lot of inner work and I date with intention and I'm more conscious about who I spend my time with now. The joker still popped out every now and then. I'm like, okay, I got to get rid of this guy. And part of that was me really committing to 6 months of nothing. Let it all come out. Let me feel what it's like to really be alone and, envision what it would be like to be with that queen and hold that strong. So becoming the one is a process, and it's deep, deep personal development to really understand where you need to grow and evolve to be the right vibration for that woman or man.
Yeah, the way I see it is, if we want a different result in life, whether that's a relationship, the body, money, we have to change our actions. We have to change who we are. And it's vibrational frequency, as you said, that's for everything in life. And this has been proven now by quantum physics. So if you want to lose weight, you've got to change how you see yourself, because that changes how you'll eat, the actions you'll take in that day, your activity, who you'll associate with. For me right now, it's creating wealth. I had to heal myself and the way I do things and my thought processes, because if ultimately I keep on acting how and behaving like I always did, I'm going to recreate that result.
Yeah, and it's a shift between the most powerful shift to create a profound change in your life is moving from doing to being.
Yes.
We can do all the things and we're checking the boxes, we're completing the tasks, but we are not changing our being. And when we change our being, we are changing our identity. So if you want to be a fit, strong, healthy person, then you choose the identity that I am strong, I'm fit, I'm healthy, and that is how I'm being. When you tap into that identity, you then do the things without having to think about them. Your new identity has a way of being that just does those things that are in alignment with being healthy. So if you want to be married, if you want to be a father, then already embody that identity of I'm a loving, loyal, caring husband and father. Start acting like that man and see what that vibration attracts into your life.
Yeah, that's so true. It's that fully embodying it. That's how I see it, is fully committing to it. And I always use love fitness parallels and analogies, because I've mastered that, so I can then use that to educate myself in other areas. So if I have clients that join my program and we give them a fitness plan and a diet plan, but they're still doing it with 50% effort and commitment, they're going to get the results if they worked with a different coach. But if they fully commit and fully embody, they're being the person who has abs. So they ultimately get them. And I've seen this in my own life where I want to grow my business way bigger. But if I'm still acting, let's say I'm posting content or running ads, but I feel at this level, I'm not embodying the identity at this level. So I'm never going to be at the vibrational frequency. So truly fully embodying and fully committing is what brings us the result.
Yeah.
It's powerful, man.
And I think one of the biggest challenges people are having with dating right now is, I'll say, like, for the man, if he's interested in a woman, even though he's just getting to know her, can he commit to going all in, even though they're just dating, even though they're just getting to know each other? You know, if after the second or third date he realizes, I like this woman, can he cut out all the other women he's talking to? Can he already start acting like her loving, committed boyfriend, even though they're just still dating and getting to know each other? Can you commit to, I'm going to take care of her like she's my wife right now, which means I'm going to pay for the dinners, I'm going to pay for her Uber. If we take a trip, I'm going to pay for it. I'm not going to expect her to pay for anything because I'm going all in, treating her like she's my wife, because if that's what I want and one day she is, she won't have to pay for anything. She will be my wife, she would love me, and she will reciprocate in her own way. But for a woman, she's been played around, she's been lied to, she's a bit jaded. So if you're half in, half out, the first 3-4 dates, you know, you're talking to other women, you know, moving on, you're seeing each other for a few months, there's still other women in the picture, she's going to pick up on that. She's going to know that you're not all in. And the only way she's going to feel safe, the only way she's going to go all in with you is if that she senses that you're all in first, right? Because, I mean, a lot of women have been played around, you know, they've been cheated on, they've been betrayed, and they're very jaded. They're giving up on men. And it's sad because there's a lot of great men out there, but they got to realize if you want that queen, you got to act like a king and you got to go all in.
Yeah. Yeah. It's powerful when you are in a relationship where it's connected, there's communication. It's been profound for me. I wanted to touch on, how are you helping people now? Is it the relationships? Is it men's work? What does that encompass?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, you know, for the last 5 years, I've really focused on working with entrepreneurs, CEOs, and founders. I like to say that I became the coach that I needed when I was 40 and scratching my head thinking, damn, what am I going to do with my life, right? And I've had an amazing time working with some really, really smart, successful people. And I will continue to work with high-level CEOs, executives, and founders. I am opening up my coaching practice to working with women again. I have worked with women before, and now I'm shifting to that again. However, what I'm noticing is that so many people, men and women, are struggling to find a partner, struggling to find that deep connection, and I want to help people with that. And I want to help people with that because it's very personal and near dear to myself. For me, everything I coach is rooted in what have I been through, what have I learned. And as you know, doing what you do, we get so much fulfillment out of sharing the rewards of the hardships that we've had to overcome. It makes all the hard times and the challenges and the ups and downs totally worth it when you could take what did I learn there and how can I share this with others.
Yeah, we need to teach the stuff that we've been through, because that's the stuff that we've spent so much time and energy and consciousness on mastering, because it was so important to us. And then that's the thing that we are passionate about and we get fulfillment from when we see others achieve that. And for me, my intuition was saying for over a year now to talk into my own journey more, because I've helped people now with their fitness for 10 years and I will continue to do that because I have a system that works insanely well. So I know that any man that joins my program will get in the best shape they've ever been in and feel great from that. But I also now am going through this process of understanding how to, as we were talked into, manifest the things that we want. And for me, the thing that was hardest was wealth at a higher level. have a nice lifestyle, but truly that freedom that I desire is being more difficult. So I know that in this journey that I'm going through, I see so many other people like me. And so I want to help them. And when I get wins or go through challenges, I want to share that stuff. But as we talked about with being authentic, I was holding back from that because, well, it's not fitness. But as you mentioned, to truly be authentic, we have to listen to our intuition and do what we're here to do. And I truly feel like that's what I'm here to do. And that's why I wanted to start having these conversations with people like yourself in the realms of not just fitness, about how we're the one or how we're the best version of ourselves, how we attract the things that we want. So it's just powerful to be sharing this stuff. And I know so many people get value from just conversations like this.
Absolutely. And it could be that you want to help people be physically fit, spiritually fit, mentally fit, financially fit, because to be fit for success, it's holistic, it's 360, right? Because we know a lot of men who are very financially fit. They got abundance, but they're a cheeseburger away from a heart attack, right?
What do you see as success now? Because I know it's easy to, and everyone thinks about success just being money. And when we look at people now on Instagram, it's portrayed as the cars, the watches, the women, these types of things. That's not my perception anymore. Wealth is one, of course. But what do you see as truly success now?
Yeah, so for success for me is defined by freedom, time freedom, personal freedom, being able to enjoy life on your own terms, being able to buy the things that you desire, travel to places you love, eat the food you enjoy. Most importantly though is peace of mind, a calm, regulated nervous system, and quality time with your loved ones. Like for me, nothing else is more important because I've had the cars and the watches and all the things that a man could want. And yeah, it's fun for a little while, but it's not lasting. That's not fulfilling. It's really being able to enjoy life with the people that you love without stress, having the freedom of choice to have the abundance that you desire. Like that for me is success.
Yeah, so true. It's incredible how, as we age and go through different processes, our idea for what success is changes. Interestingly, I did some consulting work at the beginning of this year, and it essentially required me to have to check my phone every single hour because that was their policy. And that just drove me crazy after a couple of months of doing it. I've stopped. And what I realized was the thing that I value most was my time and my schedule is just mine. If I want to get up and start work at 6, I can. If I want to start at 10, I can. If I want to just take half a day off, I can. It's incredible, and to have that freedom. So this is an interesting realization I had.
Yeah, because some people, they have the financial freedom, but they don't have the time freedom. They have all the money, but like you said, you're on your phone all the time. You can't be present with your family at dinner. You just are so wrapped up that even though you're making a lot of money, you don't have that personal time freedom. Yeah.
That's truly what I see as success now. Similar to yourself, it's the peace of mind, the physical health, looking and feeling good, the ability to travel, spend money on things that I want, my family, an incredible relationship, connected, fun. These are the things that is success, not just the wealth.
Now, that's holistic success, right?
Yeah.
That's success on the whole. That's being a successful human being, not just a
Yes.
successful entrepreneur, businessman.
And this is why the work that you do and this podcast is for men like us and women as well. I wanted to ask, is there any routines, habits that you do on a daily basis that you've found has helped you to have that holistic success?
Yeah, so I would say time alone, meditation, just a time to go inwards. And even if it's 5 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever it is, just to take some time to check in and notice what's coming up. How are you feeling? How is your nervous system? Like, what is there that's present that may need to be resolved or may need to be addressed? Because most people that get up, they check their phone, they have their coffee, they're checking emails, like they're already in the grind before they've actually had a chance to check in and just see how am I feeling, what's going on in my body, you know?
Mm.
What am I feeling in my body, and then what's creating that? Oh, I'm feeling anxious. Huh, what am I feeling anxious about? What am I afraid of? Oh, I'm afraid of that, the meeting I have coming up today. Okay, well, what am I really afraid of that meeting? Well, I'm worried I might fail. Okay, well, just processing and just understanding what is the root cause of those feelings, and that's just basic self-awareness. So for me, I'll start in the morning with 15, 20 minutes of meditation. I'll end that with some prayer. Sometimes I'll do breath work before the meditation. I'll go outside, I'll stretch a little bit, I'll throw around the ball with my dog, get some sunshine, get my feet in the grass. And then, usually I won't start work for the first 2 hours of the day. That's my time in the morning to just start my day grounded, present, not like rushing anywhere. And for me, that's a non-negotiable. Slow, quiet mornings is what I need.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I'm the same. I need to set myself on a morning, so then the rest of the day is good.
Hmm.
If I wake up and I'm straight away on my phone or responding to things, I get anxious.
Yep, for sure.
It just doesn't suit me. So it's really powerful. When you were becoming the one to attract and
Hmm.
manifest the love that you wanted, what were some of the things that you did to help with that? Was there anything that you were journaling, you were going through your thoughts, you were getting clear on what you didn't want, or old behavior? How did that look?
Yeah, so when I made the choice that I'm going all in, and even though I haven't met her yet, I'm going to start behaving like that man who my
Mm.
future woman wants to be with. I purged my Instagram. I went through, and anybody who I didn't know, any woman who was like overly sexual, like I just started deleting people. I just started clearing out any distractions. I was more conscious about where I went. I thought about, well, who am I going to be around? Is this the energy, the vibration that I want to expose myself to? I just started becoming so intentional, behaving like that man who is already committed and devoted to that woman, that it was very easy for me to set boundaries and cut out anything that didn't align with that relationship. Now, part of the process was also visualization, imagining myself walking down the beach holding hands with her, imagining what it feels like to have her skin next to mine as we lay in bed,
Mm.
just connecting to that future outcome and allowing my heart to feel the love and the emotions of what that moment will feel like, and allow my body to react physiologically, feeling the serotonin and the endorphins and everything
Mm.
of that experience. Dr. Joe speaks about this with the meditations that he teaches, is the mind sets the intention, but the heart pulls the experience to us. So when we can really like get clear, and when I say clear, I mean you get really, really, really granular on how you want to feel, who you want to be with, and the dynamics of that relationship. And then you meditate and you visualize and you feel into that and you call that reality to you. That is how you start, again, going from doing to being and shifting your identity from a guy who's dating, looking for the one, to the man who is sovereign and grounded and has become the one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really, really good, really powerful. And it's a consistent thing as well.
Yeah.
You didn't just do that once, it was a daily thing. It's similar to going to the gym. If you want to if I want to stay in the shape, I have to always go to the gym. Not
Yeah.
every day, but it's a consistent thing. And it's the same with anything that we want to achieve in life, whether it's the one in terms of relationship or whether it's financial success. Consistently be the person we need to be
Yeah.
on a regular.
When you change your identity, I am a fit, strong person. Okay, well, if you are a fit, strong person and you're being that person, then let that identity set your boundaries. Let that identity make your choices. Because a fit, strong person isn't going to be eating a tub of ice cream at
Mhm.
9 o'clock at night after dinner. A
Yeah.
fit, strong person isn't going to hit snooze and not make his way to the gym in the morning. So when you commit to being that person and you shift your identity, then allow that person to come through you. Because the more you start acting like that person, the faster you become that version of you.
Mm. Yeah, it's true. And I honestly feel as well that it's important to have that self acceptance, like we talked about at the start, because when we embody a new identity, it requires effort, and we're going against a lifetime of programming of a
Yes.
previous
Yeah.
identity,
Hmm.
right? And I see this myself on a regular basis now, I'm making decisions that are different when it comes to wealth that might not feel comfortable or normal. But as long as if I do, let's say, slip up, it's knowing that that's okay. Just get back to it. Just like if my client had a bad meal, it doesn't at the end of the world to get back to it the next day.
Yeah.
So it's both. It's embodying and fully committing to that identity, and also having that acceptance that if we slip up, it doesn't matter. Get back to it the next day. Just keep moving forwards.
Yeah. Because we all know it's impossible to be in integrity 100% of the time.
Yeah.
You know, 80-20 is great. You know, like, you know, you're going to slip up from time to time. Plan for it. When you do fall off and you are out of integrity, make up for it the next day. You know, like if I do have an indulgent dinner and I do have pizza and I do have some ice cream for dinner, then, you know what, I'll fast the next day till like 2 or 3 o'clock. I'll make sure I get up, I go for a run, I'll fast the day, I'll burn off those calories, right? Because I'm choosing to be that fit, strong person. That is my identity who's choosing to course correct the next day.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. And when we put ourselves around the right people, it's easier to hold that identity.
Yes.
I've seen that with my own life when I'm around people. Like I said, my goal is wealth, is business right now. So when I'm around people at a high level, I see how it pulls up my standards. And if you're looking for the one in terms of relationship, if you're around people who are partying, is that favorable in influence to your goal? It's not, right? Exactly. So being around the right people that align to what we want is key as well.
Same.
I was going to ask, do you have anything, so you're aiming to be holistic success, as we talked into. Do you have any negative beliefs, recurring old programming patterns that you see coming up? And if you do, what's your action to overcome and move past them?
Yes, so I've been battling scarcity mindset my whole life. And, you know, no matter how much money I would make, I would always be able to blow it all. And always saw myself very limited as to even how much I could earn, because I come from a family that lived check to check and, you know, barely got by financially. So that is deeply rooted in me because that was my baseline growing up. So I notice when I am feeling contraction in my chest, when I'm feeling the anxiety that comes from financial fluctuations and all that. And I always bring it back to frequency, knowing that we attract what we vibrate. The frequency we put out determines what we attract. So when I find myself feeling anxious, fearful, find myself slipping into a low vibration, I need to remind myself that I am abundant. I have never gone broke. I've always had enough. I live a great lifestyle, and that God wants me to be wealthy. Because when I'm wealthy and abundant, I get to impact more people's lives. That it is my destiny to be wealthy. And I just remind myself that never have I gone without. And even in times where I've been in a financial pinch before, things have always come through for me. So it's just reminding myself that I'm capable of creating wealth. I'm capable of starting businesses, and just remembering who I am, and just knowing that whatever I'm feeling right now, this is just a response from the past. This is a response from my nervous system from a child, not the reality of who I am today, and definitely not the reality of who I'm going to be in the future. Yeah. And journaling definitely helps. You know, often when we have negative thoughts swirling around in our head, you know, if we don't put them on paper, or if we don't speak to someone, like I have a coach that I speak to every week, sharing whatever's coming up for me. If I don't vocalize, if I don't express it, the energy of those emotions stays in my body and keeps my head very busy. So journaling is one way to get the thoughts out of your head and onto paper. And then, of course, coaching, speaking to a friend, having a circle of men or women to share with is also very helpful.
Yeah. Really good. It's so crazy to me how it's these beliefs that we get from childhood then play out as an adult for the rest of our life.
Absolutely.
Unless we do something about it. I'm the same as you. I've had scarcity since, since I became aware of it when it comes to money, for sure. So sometimes making decisions I feel it in my body, but I know that that's, you know, all programming. To do the other thing is what I need to do, but it's having the courage
when
to
you
do
do
it.
the other thing, if you want to, there's a thing you really want to buy and you really would like it and you know it's good for you, but you're like, oh no, I don't know. No. If you don't buy it, you're validating your belief that money's tight, that you can't afford it. If you do buy that thing, you are taking a step forward saying, I know I'm abundant. I know money comes to me. I know I'm a powerful manifester. I'm going to buy that thing and enjoy it because it's going to make me happy. Now, of course, you do have to be financially responsible. You can't go blow your rent on, a new suit, and you need to pay rent. But, if there's things that you want and you can afford, but you're being tight, that's a moment where you need to just let go and dissolve that old belief and take an action that reinforces your new belief of you being an abundant and a wealthy person.
Yeah, the way I feel it in my body is it's having that balance. So what I essentially want is I don't ever want to feel contraction. So if I've got the opportunity, this happened in Dubai. I was going to spend money on something, and it was almost like I was trying to spend money on something to prove to myself that I was abundant, but that was actually causing me to feel contraction. So that was actually me pretending to be abundant, which was having the actual opposite effect. It was actually because I was trying to force it. So what I've come to understand and feel in my body is I take action with abundance and with the identity, and when it feels right. But I want to also understand when I'm trying to force it, because that's not abundant.
Yeah.
So that's where I found the difference. It's just powerful.
Yeah. No, that's important, tuning into your body and just asking the question. And there's also asking, what part of me wants this? Is it my heart or is it my ego that wants it?
Yeah.
It sounds like there was ego that wanted that purchase or whatever it is, right? But
So interesting you mentioned that, because if I'd have spoken about my soul, what my soul wants, what my intuition wants, and what my ego wants, even 18 months ago, that was never a thing, right? It's just this last 12 to 18 months is now I understand and
living
embody
in
this.
tune will do that to you, right?
Yeah. When did you start getting into spirituality, and when did you start embodying this and more so using this terminology?
Definitely when I moved to Costa Rica in 2018. I mean, I had started to go on retreats before that, and I would consider myself to always have been somewhat spiritual more than religious. Like I've always believed in higher power. I've believed that we are multidimensional and whatnot. But it was definitely living in Costa Rica, and to your point you mentioned earlier, the people you surround yourself by, right? Like I was living and spending time with people that were in a very high vibration. They definitely had an elevated consciousness, and that rubbed off on me, and I started to understand, what does it mean to be more heart-centered? What does it mean to go inward, listen to your intuition? What does it mean to talk to God and speak to your guides and all of these things that some people might consider completely woo-woo and esoteric, right? But whether you choose to believe in it or not, I do trust that it is real, and that our heart is more than just an organ that pumps blood. There's so much our heart is doing for us that we may not even realize. So connected to our heart, to the intuition of the heart. They say the heart, is our second brain. Although they say we have three brains: our gut, our heart, and our mind, right? So, there is an intelligence in the heart. There's an intelligence in the body that always knows the truth. When we choose to tune in and listen, we can receive that wisdom and guidance.
Yeah. It's powerful, man.
Yeah.
You sent an email to me essentially saying that when you started to talk about this stuff, this work, and what you were doing, the path you were going down, and you had left the nightlife scene, I think it was 2016, right?
Yes.
And you said people thought you were going crazy. So what was that experience like, and what was it that allowed you to have that strength to keep moving forwards? And the reason I say that is because there's so many coaches that watch this that maybe hold back from speaking their true, authentic self.
Yeah. What gave me the courage to really speak my truth and share things that maybe some people would be a little bit more self-conscious of was that I had already started to experience the profound results of connecting to my spirituality and to opening my mind to new possibilities that I didn't necessarily know existed when I was living in Toronto. Living in Costa Rica in the beautiful jungle, the nature, the people that gravitate there are very much into the deep inner and personal development, spiritual work. So I saw that most people will not move to Costa Rica. Most people will maybe never go to a ceremony. But if there's something I can share from what I experienced, 20 people may think I'm crazy, but just if one, even if just one person says, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, maybe I'd like to try that and learn more. Even if it's just one person that my share can impact and help put them on this path that we're on, then it's all worth it. Because what I've come to learn is even when I was very successful with all my businesses and I was living a great life, people are going to talk shit about you no matter what. They'll judge you for having money. They'll judge you for not having money. They'll judge you for being woo-woo and talking spiritual, and they'll laugh at you. They'll say whatever. But at the end of the day, when you know your truth and you're connected to higher power and to source, you know that it's a truth that cannot be denied. It's an inner knowing, and I would even say remembering that we are connected to God. We are part of that source energy. And when you feel that within, then it's like, comes back to self-acceptance and authenticity. When you believe in yourself and you feel that, you know what, you might laugh at me, you might think I'm crazy, but at the end of the day, I love who I am. I believe in what I'm saying, and that's all that matters, right?
Yeah. So powerful, man. So powerful. Yeah, just to embody who we are and speak our truth. That's something that always comes to me. It's when I feel the nerves or the angst of speaking fully authentically, it's knowing that this can help someone right now in this moment, especially if it's a challenge that I've been through. And I'm sharing the wisdom from that. I know that there's someone else in that challenge. Like in 2023, I lost my money, my relationship, my lifestyle. I felt broke, whereas prior to that, I had money. Wow, I lost my identity because of that. So, so many lessons that now, if I don't share the things that I've been through and the work, more importantly, the work and the growth from that, then there's people that I'm not serving. And same for you, we're here to serve. There's a reason we're conscious and we've had these lessons to impart with others.
Yeah, and again, we get the experiences we need. God gives us the experiences we need to learn and to become who we are, so that we can share our magic. Like we have to go through our own healing process. We have to go through our own journey, because that wisdom that we accumulate, that we discover by going through the challenges, is ultimately what we get to turn around and offer to others, right? Like I said before, I've become the coach that I needed when I was 40 and not sure about my life, right? So it's amazing, the journey. You just got to trust that life is not happening to you. It's really happening for you, and based on your perspective, it's happening through you. You're just there and experiencing it, and also knowing that it can happen by you. We are the conscious creators, like you said earlier. Consistency, visualization, tapping into what life can be like. We are using our conscious intention to shape and mold our life.
Yeah, it's so powerful when I understood that everything that I want is just based on what I think and how I feel. So I'm in complete control of my reality. So we can then just surrender, relax, and know that it will all play out. And when we have that trust, it will. The relationship, the business, the money, the health, the fitness, whatever it is. Is there any key points that you say to your clients or to your community that we've not talked about yet? Any advice, tips, hacks, things that you repeatedly remind people of?
I can't stress the importance of being able to go inwards by spending time alone. It is the easiest way to begin your healing process. It is the easiest way to learn who you truly are and see what there is for you to work on to elevate all aspects of your life. Most people are scared to be alone because they don't want to face it, but you have to face it at some point. You can either choose to face it now while you still have time, or you're going to face it at the end of your life. And facing it at the end of your life is terrible, because I once heard a quote that said, the definition of hell is at the end of your life, you meet the version of you that you could have been.
Is that Ed Milet that says that?
Is it?
Admire
Okay.
that. Yeah, yeah.
It's a great
Powerful. Yeah,
quote. It's a
yeah,
great quote because you have the chance to do something about the things you want to change in your life now. And you could procrastinate, you could push it off, but it's not going anywhere. At the end of your life, when all is said and done and you're reflecting on who you've been and what you did or didn't do, that feeling of regret is not how you want to leave this dimensional plane, you know? So
yeah,
spend that time alone, see where the work is to be done, and just commit to it because
yeah,
the hardest part is already over. Like whatever happened back in the day, whatever created the trauma, whatever was painful, it's already happened. You won't relive that again. You just now get to go back, revisit it, reframe it, change your thoughts, change your emotion, change your energy, change your future.
yeah,
And that's there for everybody. But you got to want it. You got to be
yeah,
able to, as you said, be consistent and just
yeah.
and be fully committed.
This podcast is called Become Empowered, name of my company, my brand. So, what does becoming empowered mean to you?
You know, we touched
Your
on
version.
authenticity a lot this episode, and I really think that being empowered is truly being your most authentic self. Because when you are your full authentic expression, when you love yourself, when you are proud of who you are empowered. You know, when you are your authentic self, you are accepting all parts of you, and that authenticity can be felt by others when you walk in the room. And to be empowered is to know that, you know, you have everything within you that you need to create anything you want. And when you are in your most authentic self, you know that we are powerful manifestors, that we can truly create our lives, but we just have to let go of all the parts that aren't us, stepping into that true authenticity and live from that place, staying in the heart, knowing that we create the future through the quantum field, right? And that's what empowered means to me, just being, you know, unlimited, being authentic, and just really trusting that you already have everything you need to
Yeah.
create the beautiful life that you dream of.
Perfect. I love that. Powerful. Thank you for coming on, man. I know you've got to
For
shoot
having
for
me.
a call.